and a real welcome to you in what I'm calling the Hedge magic tradition. What you're going to see is some real footage of a pasar or market in Gunung Kidul in Java. It shows everyday elements of superstitions and practices of Kejawen. You might like to call it in Western terms hedge magic, but most people simply see it as traditions. Now, most of the people in this area would be officially recognised as Muslim, and they see these practices as a part of their Islam, or simply as traditions. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Now, this is part of a new section to the magic of Java called the real magic of Java. In this new section, I'm going to focus on real people performing what they believe to be real magic in Java. I'll attempt to explain some of the elements of this Javanese magic, particularly what I describe as the Kejawen elements. However, I need to warn you that inevitably my explanations will be partial. Maybe sometimes some elements of what I say will be incorrect, for which I profusely apologise. But this reflects the oral tradition of magic in Java, the mystery, and at times, I have to admit, subterfuge surrounding the practice of magic in Java. Please accept my apologies, but I do hope you enjoy this new section. Now, Java is a major rice growing area. In addition to that, the Javanese are amongst the biggest rice consumers in the world. It wouldn't be uncommon for people to eat rice 3 times a day. And indeed, there's a saying in Java that rice is life. And what they mean by that is if they don't have rice 3 times a day, they feel hungry. And here we see rice harvesting. In the lowlands, with irrigation, it's possible to have maybe 3 crops a year. But here in the mountains, 1 is much more normal. And here's some equipment used for rice growing. The first is like a small tractor, which I think is used for rotivation. And I know it's very expensive to hire this. And the second is a rice harvester. But as you've already seen, harvesting by hand is much more normal here. Now, Dawi Shri is the pre-Islamic goddess of rice and fertility. Despite her mythology being native to the island of Java, after the adoption of Hinduism in the 1st century, this goddess became associated with the Hindu goddess Lakshmi, as both are attributed to wealth and family prosperity. Around Yogyakarta, Jogja, she's sometimes called Roro Jongran, the Slender Virgin, from the myth of love and betrayal of a knight and a cursed prince. This myth arose from misinterpreting the Druga statue in the northern chamber of Chandi, which means temple, Pranambanam. Dawi Shri is used by Javanese farmers to assure a good rice harvest, and Dukan or shaman often use it to assure good health and good fortune. In other parts of Indonesia, there's similar beliefs around an earth mother, and shrines can often be found in paddy fields. Now, these shrines are not so common these days. Indeed, these metal statues used to be seen in households, but they're nothing like as common now. Most of the population would be monotheists, So she's not really seen as a goddess, maybe just as a focus for good luck from God. Now this pasar, or market, is known as Pasar Pon. That's because there are 5 days to the Javanese week, of which Pon is one. So this is held every 5 days on Pon. It starts around 4:30 or after Shubu or Fajr prayers. Well, this actual clip is shot at around 8 o'clock, so many have left. The rice merchants come from the cities and the lowlands to buy the crops off the people. This would be an early harvest because the dry season went on for a long time last year, so most were planted late. So this represents the early crop, maybe in some cases the first of 2 crops. Later in the year they will plant, the merchants will come to buy cassava and sweet corn. Well, like all products in Indonesia really, they're dried on the road or on the roadside, and after they've been dried, you'll often see them piled up outside houses for later use as animal fodder. Now, traditionally, this straw was fed to goats to supplement their diet of weeds that are taken from the fields. But now cows are much more common. They're not herds. People tend to keep just 1 cow or maybe as many as 4. They're actually now so popular that beef has become cheaper to buy in the village than goat meat. But in cities there is now major demand for beef. Of course, most people can't eat pork, and as Indonesia gets richer, more people are demanding meat. But most of this is imported from Australia. These village cows are often sold for Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Hedge as it's known locally, and households can chip in for I think it's a 1/7, but a part of a cow, which works out cheaper than buying a whole goat. And then those who've bought some get about a 1/5 back. In the case of a goat, you get a leg back, and the rest goes to the poor. Although most parts of the Islamic world, you tend to get about a 1/3 back. We're going to take a look at the actual pasar here. We're just walking down the road towards it, and you'll see people wearing masks because of the health restrictions, although there'll always be a few people wearing masks for pollution or goodness knows why. They are mandatory at the moment, but here in the mountains not many people actually wear them. I did spot some people from Jakarta in the village, and you can always tell them because they've got newer, better quality clothing, often better pressed, and they're always wearing masks. If you look at the women, most of them are wearing jilbabs or hijabs. Now, it would be wrong to assume this is because they're particularly devout or belong to a conservative branch of Islam. It tends to be just a fashion thing, although both conservative Islam and jilbabs are much more common now in Indonesia than they used to be. And you'll see motorbikes are absolutely everywhere. Everyone has a motorbike. Maybe 5% of people have a car, but they'll still all have bikes. And you can see a lady with a book there, and what she's doing is she's collecting the rents from people. And we can see some men there sitting down, and what they're selling is tobacco. Can you see that tobacco? Yeah, it's grown locally and it's sold by the kilo. And in those tubs there, that's tofu or tahu as we call it, just grown, which is made locally, and it's particularly tasty from this part of Java. Well, there's some more tofu, the lady there. You can see stores selling groceries, all sorts of things. But down this aisle, there's a lot of vegetables for sale. So you can see on the floor there a wide selection of vegetables. And despite people growing them in their gardens or on their farms, there'll be different types of vegetables depending on how high up the mountain you are. So people will still sell them and buy and sell them. And here's a particularly happy lady we're about to see.
You like Hedge?
Yeah, she's happy with us.
Hello.
Now we're about to see a traditional cotton material called kainlurik. It just means with stripes. It's very stiff. There it is, you see? Very stiff, almost like a linen material. It's a speciality from this area, although particularly a town known as Claton. And I follow this lady, and she's got what is known as krupup for sale. She's going to set up her stall in a minute. Krupup is well, it's prawn crackers really, but very, very common in Indonesia, eaten with most meals in fact. Yeah, there's her stall there. Now, this is what I call tukun jahit. These are the tailors.
Pagi.
So you bring stuff to them for them to sew up for you. They're saying hello to me.
Oh.
And then these ladies here, this is what I wanted you to see. They're selling a variety of traditional items that are used as offerings at graveyards, particularly dried flowers. Yeah, you can see the dried flowers there. And then, yeah, this lady's wrapping the flowers in a banana leaf. She'll also put some scent on it. And a lot like offerings you see in Hindu or Buddhist areas, they'll be placed on the grave, although some people may use it to shower in or even boil it and drink, both purportedly to get rid of jinns. And now we're coming to my friend's stall, and you'll see she's got, there she is, happy to see me, and many dried flowers, dried fruits and dried plants. There's the dried flowers. Missy. And here's air mawa, which means rose water. And then shrimpy, which is a traditional perfume that I'll tell you a little about later. And now we're moving over to the Kejawen or frankincense. This is the Kambing brand, and then this is the Semar brand of frankincense. Again, I'll tell you more about it later. And the lady, I think I can... Sorry, it's a bit dark at the moment. There, can you see that wonderful old cash box she's got there? Looks like a brass cash box, doesn't it? Yeah, wonderful old cash box. And she wants to show me something now. I think what she's wanting to show me are actually dupa, or joss sticks, incense sticks. I can't be 100% sure, to be honest, but I think that's what she's wanting to show. Yeah, it looks like dupa to me. It could simply be different brands of Kejawen frankincense. Well, now there were a few things we saw on the stall that I wanted to tell you about. The first of all was that air mawa, or rose water. The dried flowers themselves don't actually have much smell. In fact, some of them don't smell particularly nice. So they put this rose water on the dried flower offerings, although it can also be used for ritual braving, ridding yourself of a djinn, often mixed with dried flowers, and maybe that it's also used for anointing a corpse. And the next thing that we saw was Shirimpi. It's a ritualised dance of Java associated with the kraton, the royal palaces of Jogja and Solo. And the Javanese use this shrimpi oil to wash and anoint the corpse of a dead relative. The oil soothes the spirit of the deceased person and prevents it from becoming a wandering ghost, a kutuli nanak. Indonesians often use this mystical oil for enhancement of magical ritual. It's a powerful medium for telepathy and astral travel, to communicate with entities in the spirit world, and to help you make your dreams and your desires to come true. And then we saw a number of types of Kemenyan or frankincense, and this is used in magic ritual for summoning spirits. Possibly it's also used to remove spirits or simply for the smell, but the main use, particularly of frankincense, would be in ritual. And in fact, you can even buy frankincense cigarettes, which serves the same purpose. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this. Because these are real events, I can't say how regularly I'm going to be adding to this subsection. Because I don't know how often they're going to occur. But I would imagine that they'll be at least every couple of months, maybe monthly. Now, if you'd like to know when that's going to be, please subscribe and hit the button, and you'll get information on when new ones are released. I'd love you to make comments and ask questions, and if you do, I'll attempt to answer them as honestly as I can. I promise you that there's no attempt on this channel or this part of this channel of me. There'll be no attempt by me at any type of subterfuge. I'll try to be as honest and open as I possibly can be. Inevitably, there will be some of you who disagree with my interpretation, and we can agree to disagree. But what you're seeing is real stuff here. What I'd love you to do, if you enjoyed this, is look at my other sections. Particularly, I've written novels about magic in Java, and they contain much more information in them, especially me trying to understand the theories of magic, the psychology of it, and I try and intersperse them with a sort of spiritual dimension. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.